and welcome back to MarkUp Unscripted. Thank you all for your tremendous response to our previous episode, and we're back again with a fun new topic to talk about with fun new guests. I have with myself Janvi Tawakle. Say hello.
Hi guys.
We have Rachit.
Hello, what's up people?
And Abhilasha.
Hi.
And myself, Kaustubh Menon, as usual. And today we're talking about something really interesting. If you're wondering why my voice is going lower and lower, it's to tickle all those sensory aspects of your mind.
But what do you mean exactly by tickle the senses?
What do you think I'm doing right now?
I think you're whispering very naughtily.
I am.
You're teasing the audience, basically.
I am. So, you know what I was trying to do, right? I was like ASMR. Quite a failed attempt at that. But my point is, there are so many different ways that people can, tackle different aspects of your senses and, reach out to people, gain a good customer base for themselves. And which brings us to the topic for today, which is sensory marketing.
Woohoo!
Yeah. So what does sensory marketing evoke in you when I say the word sensory marketing?
So sensory marketing for me is whenever it makes me feel like I belong somewhere. So I'll give a really good example. I'm not a coffee person. Like in general, I'm not a coffee person. I'm a very tea person. But recently I went to Starbucks, and when I entered Starbucks, that coffee fragrance, that pure aroma, rich brewed coffee fragrance hit me. And I was like, I want this particular coffee. So I asked the cashier actually, can I get this, what's the smell? Can I get this coffee? And he's like, no, sir, we don't serve that coffee.
Yeah.
That coffee is actually only for this aroma. We have a different coffee for our the people who pay basically.
Correct.
And I sort of researched into it. So I found out that they try to create the entire theme around the aroma because everybody loves coffee as a whole.
Yeah.
And it was a culture starter. So I loved it.
True. So like what you're saying is absolutely correct, because there's a thing that Starbucks does, that every single coffee house or every single chain of theirs has been specifically told to to grind their own coffee and place it in such a unique location within their outlet that it wafts through your nostrils and it creates that experience, and you die for coffee even if you're not like feeling like having coffee at that point.
Okay, I need a cup of coffee now. So, I have this, I've been following this influencer on Instagram, Cedric Lorenzen, and he makes food for the eyes. So the way he depicts food, it's in such a sensual way that you don't really feel like eating it, but it's like a treat for your eyes. It's so beautiful the way he plates all of that stuff. And he entices people to actually eat that food, and it's just so amazing. So I feel that kind of sensory marketing is what's up and coming these days.
Correct. So, I mean, the great example, like the great takeaway from all these examples is that sensory marketing is basically targeting audiences in a way that people wouldn't expect that product to be marketed. Like, food through the eyes, beverage through the aroma, and stuff like that. And it's quite in vogue nowadays. Like taking from what Rachit just said, you guys know Cinnabon, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Love
Cinnabon does two things. One, each outlet has cinnamon and brown sugar that is constantly roasted, and there are fans that blow the aroma out.
Yeah.
Right? And they're placed in such locations that usually have like outlets and malls. They don't even have a shop. And they're placed quite close to the entrances and exits. So every time you enter, you're like, I want that,
This actually reminds me, like when you go to the airport and you'll see all of those perfume and fragrance shops situated first. And when you walk through them, you can't help but just stop and just, you want to go for a perfume. And it's so strategically placed because right after then are the food places.
Correct.
So you have to stop. You'll stop to smell the scene. You'll go check out a few perfumes and you'll be like, oh, this is Chanel. This is maybe some other brand. And then you're like, oh, look, there's some food. I'm hungry. I have to eat.
It's the same even with like these multiplex stores like Lifestyle or Central. Or the bottom floor is always fragrance. And once you're in there, you're like, okay, I've come for the fragrance. I might as well buy something else and go,
And the best part is they'll have the watches directly after the perfume. So if as a guy or even as a girl, you're just walking past, you will always smell it and you'll be like, hey, let's check that place out. And then there'll be shoes.
Correct. And there'll be makeup. Of course.
Yes.
Yeah, and so Dunkin Donuts, this is brilliant ad campaign. So this was in Korea, South Korea, and they had a bus, okay, full of passengers, and they targeted three particular senses. So in the bus there were Dunkin Donuts ads playing all around. Secondly, the bus route was structured in such a way that in one sitting you would see at least 3 or 4 Dunkin Donuts shops passing by, and the to top it all off, they had Dunkin Donuts fragrances perfumed in the AC vents. So when you're sitting there with nothing to do, not Dunkin Donuts, not even in your head, when you see so much Dunkin Donuts and you smell that fragrance, you have that recall, which will invariably lead to more sales. So that was brilliant what they did there.
But I feel that brands are also trying to do a lot for visually impaired people. So talking about an example I could think of was the MasterCard. They have actually come up with those cards which are for the visually impaired people. You can actually touch. So they have a triangle or a rectangular which depicts either a debit card or a credit card, and the brands and the people can actually identify if it's a debit card or a credit card. So I think it's a very good way for them to sell their cards, because it's very difficult for visually impaired people to see. So this makes their life easier.
One thing we haven't spoken about so far is the tactile sense of it all, and the one brand that plays heavily and does it successfully is IKEA. That store is massive, and by the time you're exploring it all, you're like, I need to rest, I need to sit down, I need to lie down or something, and they have very strategically placed everything in such a way that, oh, this sofa looks so comfy, I might as well sit down now. And once you're sitting there, I'm like, why don't I have this in my house? And they kind of boost that sort of feeling to generate more sales, and I think that's great.
And the best part about IKEA also is that when you sit, they just position everything so perfectly around you that you start seeing, oh, I could use this.
Yeah.
Oh, let me put my foot on the coffee table.
Yeah.
Oh wow, I could just sink into these sheets are so amazing. I just absolutely need them.
Yeah. So one question I want to ask you guys is do you think that this whole concept of sensory marketing is losing out because of people transitioning into the online purchasing thing and everything? Like if I were to buy, I'm still old school that way. I don't buy shoes or clothing online because I need to wear them and try them on first. But do you think going online is a lost opportunity for sensory marketers?
I think I have one example for this. See, luxury brands, when they wanted to hold their fashion shows during the whole COVID phase, but they couldn't. They had these online shows, and they used to send a whole package full of goodies, and used to send stylists to the hotel rooms for those people that they invited. Even if it's online, they made them feel like they're actually attending it. And then of course the whole visuals and the sound thing is anyways there in an online meet. So if the brands played it smart, they could always play on all the senses. In this case they did. Especially Louis Vuitton does it really well.
And another thing that brands have started doing, when you order online, right? So now brands have started doing really amazing stuff with the packaging. So the packages are so involving, and you open it, the paper will crinkle at your touch. You feel it, and it's unique to every single brand. There might be some perfumed paper that'll be specific to that one. So it just gives you that entire immersive.
A bunch of people have made careers out of unboxing items, right?
Totally.
So it's true. You're right. But one thing that retailers do really well, it's a study that when you're in a shopping, when you're shopping in some place, I'm sure you guys also must have noticed this. The music that is playing is very somber, very mellow, very slow paced. So that you take your time, you ponder and everything. But once you get to the billing counter, it's a little more dick chick. So that you don't have second thoughts about it. So that when you're there, you're like, okay, fine, let's get this over with. Why is there so much? Why is the line so long? I want to get it out. So that's another thing. But they play with your ears that way.
So that hip music which you're talking about, you can actually see that kind of music in a store like Adidas or Nike, because people know what they want to buy. They just come and pick that up and they just go. So every brand picks their music in a certain way, which would probably entice the customer and actually help them in their sales. So I feel brands are banking on it. They're trying and figuring out what suits their products, and then they're deciding on what music to play. So that way they're actually engaging our ears.
True.
Yeah, absolutely. Like even all the brands like which are moving online, like Netflix and Zomato. So if you hear, you must have heard of that signature tune when you open Netflix, right? That just pops in. And, and when you hear it, like if somebody's around, they'll be like, "Oh, what are you watching? Can I join in? Let's just chill together." Similarly with Zomato, like whenever you place an order on Zomato, they'll have that like you place an order and just wait. And
Even Paytm, like the bhaiya doesn't need to know, doesn't need me to show him his screen. Once he hears it, he knows it's done. Right? Yeah. That was a fun and quite intellectual conversation, guys. What did you
Actually,
think?
very diverse conversation.
Did you guys have fun?
a lot
Yeah.
of fun.
Well,
Loved it.
the fun does not stop here. Now we have our trivia round. So basically, this trivia round, because it's an auditory medium, the podcast, I'm gonna play you some ads, okay? And which have very quick recall, and we're gonna talk about those ads, okay? So identify and talk. So I'm gonna play a few seconds of the ad, and after I pause it, you can give me your guesses.
Done,
Okay?
done, and done.
Are you ready?
I'm so nervous right now.
Very nervous.
Okay, so here goes the first one.
रसिया आजा हौले हौले रस बरसा जा
Oh, this is the iconic Slice ad, I think.
Have you guys not seen this?
Katrina Kaif one.
Yeah.
Next to the tree.
Oh god.
Yeah, next to
the
the
Red
tree.
Riding Hood one.
Essentially drinking it.
Yeah.
The Red Riding Hood robe.
Correct. So
Oh,
this
God.
ad is
It was so
it's great because never before have I felt stimulated
By a mango.
by mango. Imagine the messiest fruit to eat and it being marketed to you in such a sensual way that sometimes I'm a Maza loyalist, but I might switch to Slice after that after watching that ad, right? So that was the first one. So now we move to our second one, which is.
Is it thumbs up? Or
No,
Coca-Cola?
it's
I think it's
It's-
Coke. I think it's Coke.
I
Because
think
it
it's
has
Coke.
that iconic
Ah.
fizz smell, it's fizz sound. It's just, I feel it's Coke.
It is Coke. You know, the best part about this ad is the whole thing that really gets me. You know, like it's like the only thing that can quench your thirst is Coke right now. Speaking of Coke, they did this really brilliant thing in the US. So it was during a basketball finals game in the US, and they were live streaming it obviously, and they played a drinkable Coke ad. What that basically means is, while the game was going on, people who had Shazam on their phones could basically sync it with the real-time match happening, and on your TV screen there was basically just a bottle of Coke pouring, and your
Yeah.
phone would get filled up,
Yeah.
and then you would do this and you just like drink it. It was amazing. So that brings us to the end of this podcast. Did you guys have a good time?
I absolutely loved it. I loved the conversation we were having, and getting different perspectives, give different examples. It was just an amazing time.
It was brilliant. It was a great conversation. Loved the entire conversation. Loved the examples. It was fun.
Yeah, I don't think that I could have thought about so many examples right on the spot. It was great to have so many people discussing one topic, and it was great.
Yeah, man, it was a fun experience.
Actually learning from each other's experiences.
This is true pure learning. So that brings us to the end of this episode. Thanks a lot for listening, and be sure to check out our old episodes as well. We're on Spotify and YouTube. We'll be back soon with more fun conversations, more people to share this enthusiasm with. And till then, stay safe and thank you for listening.
Thanks, guys. Hope you had a great time.
Bye, guys.
Bye, guys. Peace out.